A man named Manuel C. claims that in 1963, when he was only around 4 years old, he had an encounter with a creature straight out of a horror movie. At the time, he was staying at his grandmother's house in Henrietta, Oklahoma. He recalls waking up and needing to use the bathroom. As he stepped out of bed, he realized he was not alone. So he got up. It was late at night. He got up. He had to use the bathroom. The room was dark. There was a little bit of moonlight coming in through the window. And as he was standing there, he realized that there was something else in this room. Well, he described it as a human-sized fly. He said that it reminded him of The Fly from the original horror film, The Fly, not the Jeff Goldblum one, but the original. He said the black and white one. He said it reminded him of that. In front of me, 6 feet away, blocking the door, stood a life-size man-fly with big hanging wings in the shadows. It looked very much like the original monster movie, The Fly. This one's body was bigger, like a whole fly, standing about 5'6". Manuel claims that, even at such a young age, he did not believe that what he was seeing was real, so he proceeded to the bathroom. I was smart enough to know these things don't exist, so I figured I was seeing things and slowly took a step forward. When I did, the fly took a step towards me, revealing every detail: hair, claws, and huge scary fly eyes and mouth from the indirect moonlight. Manuel still did not believe that what was in front of him was something real, and his urge to use the bathroom was overwhelming, and so he continued forward. I slowly took one more step forward, planning to walk through this imaginative creature, but when I attempted this, he came one step closer, reaching out for me with his big left hairy fly claw. I instantly stepped back and became terrified. With that, Manuel screamed for his grandmother, who was sleeping in the bed next to his. She jolted out of bed and quickly flipped on the light, which was next to her. As the light came on, the creature suddenly just seemed to vanish. Manuel, an artist, noted that he has lived his entire adult life as a Christian and believes that what he encountered that night was some kind of demon, as that was the only thing that made sense to him. Having just turned 60, he was confident that what he saw that night was real and not a figment of his imagination, though he understands why some might doubt his story. Until people experience it firsthand, they find it hard to believe. These cases go back 100 years. People who have these experiences where they, these hypnagogic hallucinations or stuff, where people wake up and there's something standing in the room or there's something on top of them. Sometimes they're described as, old hags, and sometimes they're described as, like shadow people or goblins or whatever, And like I said, they've been going back 100 years. Charles Fort was collecting these kinds of stories. John Keel, wrote an article about bedroom intruders. And so these types of encounters have been happening forever. And like I said, skeptics will tie it up in a bow, nice and neat, and this is what it is, and see, we solved it. But the problem is that there are accounts of people waking up and in the room with somebody who's having one of these experiences, somebody waking up and looking over and seeing old hags and seeing these things in the room with them, even though they're not the ones having the experience. So that's really strange. It adds another layer to it, and it makes you kind of wonder, are people just hallucinating these things, or are they actually happening? Are people seeing things in some kind of thin veil between our world and whatever else is out there? whatever another world that's out there, are people seeing these things slipping through? In the December 2015 issue of the Curious Fortean magazine, there is a bizarre account involving a creature made of snow and how a man was attacked by it. The story was attributed to Pennsylvania historian and author of numerous books, Henry W. Shoemaker. Certainly, the account is unlike any I've heard before. The story seemed to occur somewhere around 1864 in Benton, Columbia County, Pennsylvania. The setting was wintertime. Benton, at the time, was quite secluded, situated in between a broad mountain bounded on three sides by thick, dense forest. A young man, Shoemaker did not include his name, had been seeing a woman. Apparently she was married and her husband was away serving at the time. Her cabin was situated near the top of a mountain, and at night, this young man would make his way up to visit her. On this particular evening, a blizzard had moved in and visibility was very poor. The man decided, despite the storm, he wanted to get up to the cabin and stay with her. He hitched up his wagon and began the treacherous journey up the mountainside. As he made his way down the slippery, snow-covered roadway, approaching the old abandoned lumber camp, he was certain he saw something he could not believe. And this is where the story gets crazy. According to the man, as he neared the old lumber camp, he saw what appeared to be a huge shard of ice rising from the ground at the side of the road. As he approached the icy shard closer, he began to make out that it was a man, or at least something shaped like a man. It was a human shape, alabaster white, as if made from snow. To him, it appeared to be a snowman. Not a man covered in snow, but a man made of snow. Even stranger, he was certain that this snowman had a weird kind of spiky beard that he could make out in the haze of darkness and falling snow. And it wasn't just standing still, this thing was moving. The snow monster, or snow ghost as Shoemaker referred to it, became enraged and apparently jumped into the man's wagon as it drew closer. The horses, for some reason, were not frightened by its presence, and proceeded to attack his throat with icy claws. The man managed to fight off the strange creature, but the damage was done. When he finally arrived at his lover's cabin, he was near death. The town doctor was summoned. He told his bizarre story to the doctor and his lover, who, no surprise, had trouble accepting it. The man was in bed for 3 days, where his condition only seemed to get worse. In that time, he would seemingly fall into fits of terror, seemingly fighting off imaginary attackers. He eventually succumbed to his wounds. Curiously, an undertaker was called from Benton to retrieve the man's body. Before leaving, he too was informed about the attacking snowman, but he too assumed that this man just hallucinated it. Though on the way back to town, as he passed by the old lumber yard where the incident happened, he saw in the snow fresh, huge footprints, like a man's, only larger, leading from the road into the woods. Was his story true? Was he really attacked by a man made of snow? So he claims that he saw a man made of snow, or a snowman. From the report, it wasn't a man covered in snow. He was a man made of snow. But to me, given the footprints and large footprints, it kind of makes me wonder if it was one of these white Bigfoots that people see. And there are a lot of Bigfoot reports in Pennsylvania. So was this an account, an early account of a Bigfoot attacking a man? It's possible. I mean, is it more likely that he saw a man made of snow, or was it a creature covered in snow, a white-haired creature covered in snow that was just kind of like sitting by the road, and then when he came by, it stood up and attacked him? I mean, and people will say, oh, that Bigfoots don't attack people and stuff. Well, that's not true, because there's a book called When Bigfoot's Attacked that is literally filled with accounts of people being attacked by Bigfoot. So I don't really believe that. But it is a weird case. And I mean, the fact that Shoemaker attributed it to being a ghost, said that it was a ghost, a snow ghost, and he seemed to almost rule out the idea of a Bigfoot. But I don't know. It's possible. It could have been a ghost made of snow. I don't know.